It is interesting to consider what were the Crusades, in particular because the Crusades were a specific type of phenomenon that happened during the Middle Ages, but also during the first part, and also in the end, also of the modern age. But in any case, in particular during the Middle Age, what were these Crusades? It is interesting that the idea of crusade it was in relation with the idea of it was in relation with the Pope. In fact, it was the Pope that considered important the Crusades. Anyway, the idea of the Church in relation with the idea of jurisdiction. We understand the Crusades if we understand the idea of jurisdiction of the Western Middle Age in relation with Middle Ages in relation with the idea of the Christian philosophical point of view. In fact, according to the idea of the main scene of Adam and Eva, the two men that were created by gods, we understand that after their main sin, the God decided to send them into our world in the world of imperfection, and for that day began the idea of property according to a specific type of point of view. In any case, according why this type of argument it was in relation with the Crusades, because in this sense happened the idea of property and happened the idea of jurisdiction. And in this sense, if happened the idea of property and happened the idea of jurisdiction, according to the Christian Middle Ages, there were some lands that were part of a Christian jurisdiction and other lands that weren't part of a Christian jurisdiction. In this sense, in fact, the Christian Middle Ages considered really important the idea of jurisdiction in relation with positive law. In any case, what what does it mean? What does this mean? It means that the Crusaders were in relation with the idea of jurisdiction in relation with law. Therefore, the Crusaders were movements or specific type of movements of lords that, according to the idea of Pope, tried to defend the Christian territories, the Christian lands, or specifically that lands that, according to the Pope, according to the Christian world, were part of Christianity. In particular, for example, the main lands that we can think were the Christian lands of Jerusalem, or in a case the Holy Land, or also Spain. Why these lands are main examples of this argument? Because the land of Jerusalem it was considered by the Pope and by the Church the Christian land, because according to this type of point of view in Jerusalem, we know that this type of land, it was the land of Jesus Christ, the Holy Land, and it was the land, for example, where Jesus died. On the other hand, we know that, for example, Spain, it was part of the Western Roman Empire that, with Constantine, the Emperor Constantine became a Christian empire. Therefore, when Muslims, in this sense, for example, tried to kill the pilgrims, the people that pray in the Holy Lands, or try to conquer the Holy Lands, and in this sense, for example, they conquer the Holy Lands, but on the other hand, tried also to conquer, and they conquer the Spain, according to the idea of the Pope and of the Church. These lands, for example, the lands of North Africa, that in the ages of the Roman Empire were part of the Roman Empire, the lands of the Spain, and also the lands of the Jerusalem. These lands, according to the Church, were part of the Christian lands. Therefore, according to the Christian point of view, in this sense, the Pope or the popes, these lands had to be defended by the Muslims, in particular in relation with the idea of jurisdiction. In fact, the Church, and the Christian point of view, considered important the jurisdiction. Therefore, the Church considered that also the Muslims, or in any case the infidels, had their jurisdictions. And if some crusades had to be, Therefore, this type of crusades had to be only in that lands that were in relationship, or in a case were a sort of were in relation with the idea of a Christian idea, the Christian lands. Uh, because if it wasn't so, in any case, the Crusaders couldn't be right. Therefore, to have a right crusades, it was important to consider that if, according to the ancient crusades, Middle Ages crusades, we have to do a crusade, we have to be a specific type of consideration of a pope that, in any case, had to explain a specific type of crusade in relation with a specific type of lands that were part of the Christian lands, or were part of a history of a Christian lands. This is really important. And in this sense, we understand that, on the one hand, the Crusades consider this in relation with the idea of jurisdiction. But why they decided to go to the Crusades? In particular, because the popes explained to us that if this man, if these lords, if these kings try to do the crusades, they would have been the forgiven of the sins for their souls. This is another argument that convinced the lords and the kings of France, of England, for example, but also men in Italy of a different type of states of Italy to go to do the Crusades. Anyway, we know that in any case, the Crusades are not part of the duty of a good Christian, but were in relation with the word of the popes. Therefore, only when popes decided to demand a crusade, therefore the men of the crusade could decide to go to the crusade. But it wasn't so simple to go to the crusade, because on the other hand, we know that these men that go to do these crusades had to pay for the cost of the crusades. Yeah, it is true that after, in particular, the first crusade, the church built a specific type of taxes to help the men that went to the crusades for their costs. But in any case, a lot of costs, the crusades had to pay the majority of costs of the crusades. This is really important because it explained that, on the other hand, the men that went to the crusades risked a lot of their wealth, and in a lot of cases they lost their wealth, and at the same time they risked their life. Therefore, yeah. On the other hand, we have to consider that these men couldn't be so promoted to do these crusades. Only they were promoted to do the crusades to the remissions, to the forgiven of the sins. No, for nobody else, they were promoted to do these crusades. Therefore, the idea of crusades, it was, on the one hand, the idea of to defend the Christian lands. On the other hand, were promoted by the popes, but it weren't a specific type of duty of a Christian religion, but only the idea of the popes. This is another argument. According to the historian Morera, on the other hand, the idea, instead of the jihads, it was instead the idea of a specific type of attack, according to Morera, that instead the Muslims wanted to do against other lands to impose their religion to the infidels. Therefore, according to the historian Morera, there is a specific type of difference between crusades and jihads, because on the one hand, the crusades, it was only in relation with the defense of territories and It was in relation with the idea of attack, and it was supported only by the popes, and it wasn't a specific type of duty of a man and of the religion, of the Christian religion, but it was only an idea of the Pope. It was specifically a specific type of artificial idea of the Pope to defend the Christian lands. But according to Moreira, on the other hand, according to Moreira, the Middle Ages idea of the Muslims in relation with this jihad, it was different because, according to this historian Moreira, the Middle Ages jihad, it was in relation with the duty of these Muslims people to conquer other lands, to impose their legitimate duty to believe in their God. Therefore, according to Moreira, there is a specific type of difference between Jihad and Crusades. Crusades happened to defend the Christian world, but on the other hand, only supported as a main idea by the Pope, Jihads instead to attack and conquer and impose the idea of Muslim religion on the other lands. Bye.